So writer, educator, PhD candidate, literary influencer. Is there anything else I'm missing? Is there anything else I can add?
Husband, father, brother, mentor, you know, those very special, beautiful ones as well. Yeah.
I was gonna say those are probably the most important above anything else, man. So it's just a pleasure to sit down and talk with you, bro. You're one of the first men that I ran across on Instagram and in that space that was really talking about books, that wasn't just sitting there showing them and showing the pretty, the pretty covers and just, oh, this is the newest one to come out and this is what we got this week and this is what we're gonna be on. Like you were the one.
Bibliophile, like the true sense of the word, right? Like they just like the books around them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so I was like, man, let me find someone on here who, especially a black male, who's talking about books, who's not just going over and glossing over just the newest people, who's really going in depth with stuff. And as I was trying to figure out, could I be a person that talks about books? You're a person that I ran across that made me see that okay, this is definitely possible, and you've definitely carved out a lane for yourself. So, my brother Jerid, I just want to say, man, I appreciate everything you do and everything you bring to the space.
Love, man. I appreciate you, brother. I've been peeping you out. You know, you say something here or there, and I usually try to, talk with folks and not make it like like a thing. You know how some people act like on social media, especially some of these social media influencers. Like I'm a regular guy, just like you and everyone else on this earth, just trying to figure it out. You know what I'm talking about?
I got you, bro, and I appreciate that. And you said something very interesting. So if you guys are tuning into this, man, to go look. I'm gonna put it in the show notes, but you were also on an interview with the Bookham app with my boy Kyle, and
Yeah,
very,
yeah.
very good interview, very, very good stuff in there. And that's one thing you talked about. You said, social media is not that's not community. That's not what community is. Being able to stop in, put a little message on somebody's post or anything like that. You talked about building real community, and that's what you're trying to do. Can you talk about that and explain that a little bit?
Well, I mean, it's social media is just the weirdest thing ever, man. You know, as everybody's just putting the best image forward, right? They're not really doing a lot of uh they're not really as vulnerable, right? And as we continue to move down this lifestyle of like always being kind of logged in, it's it's important to also very it's very important to also make sure you're taking care of like those things that actually matter, like actual human contact. We were not meant to be talking to each other through screens. You know what I mean? We're very social creatures, but in like actual intimate community. And so a lot of times it just feels like vanity. You know what I mean? Like a lot of folks call things a community, but it's just a bunch of people that are following them, right? You see it all the time. You might see somebody with 2.8 million followers, right? But they're not
Mhm.
actually engaging with their folks. You know what I mean? They're just getting paid. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, I see a lot of that, and I see a lot of people online talking bad about a lot of people that organize and do things community oriented in real life, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I just don't really have a space for that. That irks me to no end. You know what I mean?
Man, I feel that 100%. And I think while we sit here and talk, man, you're one of the, like I said, you're one of the people I came to, I saw their page, and you don't just talk about books. You're one of the most well-rounded people, one of my well-rounded followers that I see. And I'm like, yo, I really dig it because I know he's smart and he does all this other stuff on top of that. And right
Mhm.
now, you're currently in this weight loss journey. I've been tuning in for
Oh,
it. You post every now and then. You're trying to get to this certain number.
yeah.
Man, what prompted you for this weight loss journey in the journey that you're currently on?
I mean, if you're not growing and you're not changing, you're dead, right? So like, I took like a year off from rap. I know we're gonna get on talking about hip hop a little bit later, but I took like a year off from rap and I listened to jazz only because I had read how it rewires your brain and the neural network, right? To be more creative, right? Because jazz is an intuitive medium. You know what I mean? Like it moves. It is not just the same. It doesn't just follow this traditional like thread. And so when I did that, um, I started like watching all these videos and stuff. So I would listen to jazz and I watch these like motivational videos, and I would see these people like, Will Smith or trying to think of some Michael B. Jordan that changed their body drastically, right? And we have the same 24 hours, right? So I like to experiment with my body, right, and see what I can actually make it do, see what I can do with my will, right, and just prove the concept of form follows function, and if you function properly, things will form themselves. So I share like in my stories all of these things that I'm doing, right, both for myself because I watch my stories back. So I'm really like talking in relationship to myself, but sharing it and growing publicly. You know what I mean? So that people can see the thread and hopefully be inspired by it. You know what I mean? Well, he's always in there. There's really a wolf. He's locked in. And it doesn't take anything outside of myself to kind of motivate me in that regard. And I just think that working out is just another form of meditation. I'm a big person who's interested in meditation and self-help. So when I'm out there, it is like a communion with my spirit. You know what I mean? And so it's me training my mind and my body to know that I am the master, right? Like, so it responds to me. I don't respond to it.
You said so much right there. See, I ain't know about the jazz part. See, that might
Oh,
be a whole nother episode down the
oh
road,
yeah,
man. Cause we
yeah,
can.
man. I don't know. I think you should like we don't know what's on the other side of life. So I don't understand why people just get so stagnant. Like folks, like a lot of people that I see are like, because I'm 38, but they think like you're supposed to have like that pill box that like our grandmamas and them used to have by the time you turn 38. No. Why does Will Smith get to like go from 225 to 206 in 3 months? Or cuz that did Wolverine, right? Packs on 40 pounds of muscle. I can do that too. I don't have to be rich to do that. You know what I mean? But we believe we do, right? I don't need that. I have everything I need to be successful. God put me here with everything I needed. And so, yeah, I have a weight that when I hit it, it's like 226. It's like, okay,
Okay.
time to shred it back down because I want to always be able to, run, chase my son, pick up my wife, pick up things for my wife. You know what I mean? Like, just I want to be their Superman, so I try to like do that for them.
And I like how you pretty much said you're all about self-development and you don't really need any outside influences to tell you, oh, okay, I need to get ripped, I need to get big for this, or I need to get in shape. And I love that. And you said one great thing. You said, I want to be able to pick up my wife, I want to be able to pick up things for my wife. Like that's one of those small things that we don't, what I mean, we forget our bodies at some point, what I mean. I see a lot of older people when I'm out on the street and I'm like, I hope I can live that long. You know what I mean? I hope I can still be walking by XYZ amount of age or anything like that.
Exactly, because like, so my uncle, he drove a 18-wheeler and he got in a accident and they had to amputate his leg. And we were in the room, we were talking to him, and he was like, if I could change anything, I wish I would have ran more. You know what I mean? And it's just so dope to to have someone, because I think God is always talking to you through
Yep.
everything, right? So when I hear that, right, I'm like, oh, I need to run more. I need to make sure that I ran to the furthest extent of how long I can run. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I think training the body is so connected to training the mind. And so, yeah, that's what I would say on that. Yeah.
And you hit on a good point, man. You and me being an athlete, I would hear this all the time from OGs and mentors, and they'd be like, "Man, take care of your body. You only get one of them."
Only get
And
one.
and that's deep. Like you can't you can't go to the store and be like, "All right, let me get them abs, let me get that six pack, let me get them 200 pounds off right there." Like you get
And,
one of them. So what are you finna do with it?
and if you do go to the store to get them, right, you don't have the mental discipline. That's why the training is so important. That's why I don't work out. I train. This is a
Mm,
lifestyle. It, I don't even say how many days I work out. I just stop when my body tells me to, and I'll give it
mm,
rest. But I train every day. You know what I mean? Like, and I can count on others not to. Like that's my whole thing. Like when I started a Black Man Reading, I would tell my homeboy, like, so I'm in the we might come out of a cathedral and we were watching Ta-Nehisi Coates talk to Jesmyn Ward. This was like 2018. And I went outside to take the photo and I dropped the tripod in the middle of the road. And he was like, "Man, you wow." I said, "Yeah, I can count on nobody to be brave enough to do this." I can count on. I was like, there's so many people out here. I beat them already because I'm brave enough just to put the tripod there, right? And that's how I try to look at life. Like I had a student when I was still teaching. He was like, "Man, coach want me to run the bleachers until he get tired. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit basketball." And I'm like, well, okay. Your coach's life and dreams in terms of that sport are here. They're probably not gonna move more. You have so much potential. And furthermore, do you know who you'll be after you run those bleachers?
Mm.
You're better than everyone who didn't automatically, right? Everyone who he's posed that to, who quit, you've already defeated them. Now you only have to contend with whoever is man enough to be in the gym with you. And most oftentimes, right, there's not going to be anybody there because you can count on folks not to do that type of stuff. I can count on folks not to it's like when my homeboys see me working out and they'd be like, if I'm boxing, they'd be like, man, you punching wrong. How you know? You not punching? Like, how do you know? I can count on you to do what you're doing now. You know what I'm saying? But most can we say bad words here?
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite rappers, he said, most of these niggas never touch the rim and think I'm gonna let them teach me how to dunk.
Mm.
Boy, you don't get out of my face. Like you fat, you literally fat on the FaceTime, and I don't mean that I'm just saying that's
Yeah.
perspective and awareness. Why are you talking to me when I'm doing what I'm supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not talking to you. I could be, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say everybody got an opinion when they ain't there, but hey, come and get in here with me then. Show me how to punch. What's good? Okay, you ain't
Don't
up
block
at the
dunks.
time I'm up.
Booze don't block dunks. That's what Kobe said.
Mm.
And my friend.
Man, you do so excellent in what you talk about. And before you got to where you're at, you've been a banker, you've been a teacher. You just told this story about, you having a student of you being able to talk him and being able to talk him into doing something that usually he would have thrown the towel on. When it comes to being a speaker or an educator and being inside the school, how important was that for you during that time? For one, because there aren't that many male teachers, these days. And I know you did that a couple years ago, but also there aren't very many black educators in that space or even in that high school space, I want to say. And I could be wrong, he might not be in high school. But kind of what do you miss about being a teacher and being in the school and kind of interacting with your students?
Impact. Students perform for those who love them. You know what I'm saying? So it's never a question of me loving them. I always showed up for them, whether it's school, right, or whether they just had a wreck. I'm at the hospital. You know what I'm saying? If they need something, I'm gonna try and figure it out. And so that was impact is the most important. I think also, I miss seeing them grow. You know what I mean? Seeing them grow, seeing the light bulb come on, and teaching them to be themselves. Everybody in high school is pretending, right? But teaching them to like speak with. There's an African proverb that says like speak with the wind that brought you, um, and it's an allusion to this idea that you are the latest product in this line of folks, and they have done amazing things on your behalf. They have they have genetically encoded you with all of their stories, and so you shouldn't have any kind of fear in terms of speaking, right? And so I think impact is the thing that I miss being around those students. But I think when I transitioned out of teaching, I'm still in education. But when I transitioned out of teaching, folks were like, "Oh well, what are you gonna do now? How are you gonna like engage with young folks?" And I was like, "What do you mean? I don't have to be a teacher to do that." Right. So, I mentor, I got 50 boys in Capital League. I mentor 50 boys. I still, anytime all children are my children. Right. You know what I mean? That it's the village thing. So if that's something in your heart, um, it's just not even a question. I wasn't like worried about that at all. I knew I would still be able to have that kind of impact with young folks.
Mm. Thank you for saying that, man. And you mentor, I mentor as well. We
Mhm,
need more mentors. You know what I mean? Some people don't even know they need them. I had great ones.
mhm,
People that it wasn't even about, I grew up playing sports, so most of the times it was the coaches. But I had a ninth grade teacher, Mr. Jefferson, that took an interest in me, and he told me my writing was good, and he told me I had the biggest smile when I walked into the classroom. And so, teachers, they get to see these things on an everyday basis, and they get to pour into you. And I loved what you said. You said, I've transitioned out of teaching, but I'm still in education. I'm
Mhm.
still I'm still out here. I'm still out here putting these gems out here. I'm
Oh,
still
yeah.
out here, talking about reading, talking about books, interviewing great literary influences, and a whole bunch of stuff like that. So, and it's a mindset. You know what I
It's
mean?
a
Like I'm pretty
it's a mindset. Why would I like no limits allowed, no limits exist. Like I try not to like provide limits for myself because like once you build the cages, it, it will cage you. You know what I mean? So I was never like caged in. Like the I wasn't there like just for the paycheck. You know what I mean? Because as we all know, it's not that it's not that beautiful. So
yeah, we don't pay teachers enough. We don't give them enough credit. We don't show them enough love, all that stuff. So if you're a teacher, you're listening, you're tuning in, man, we appreciate you. I know it is just like that coach that's not getting paid a lot at the high school, but he picks you up, he takes you home, he buys you a meal, he gets you some cleats, all this other stuff. There are teachers that are doing all that on the groundwork. And not to call them psychologists, but and you talked about in the interview before, but you're doing so many other things. Like,
yeah.
you're pumping people with confidence. You're being able to talk to somebody when they have a bad day.
Mhm.
You're helping them. You're a teacher, but you're helping him as a football player, telling him what the next steps for him are, what that coach really wants from you, and being able to talk him up another level. And
Yeah.
you have a great story. You talked about, you said this quote. You said, a lot of people associate reading with pain. So you talked about, a lot of the pushback you got when you're starting all this stuff, or just the kids that you had in your classroom, and a lot of the things you did for them when it came to reading. You
Yeah.
had this story where you you talked about, you read, I want to say it was The Hate You Give, and you
Oh
put a
yeah.
wig on and you read it in front of the class.
And
Uh,
you know what I'm saying? And that's just to show them that like like that was important to me too, just to show them that like I am the one who is in charge of like my sexuality, right? Because that's the other thing that like specifically boys are like wrestling with, right? You know, they got to say pause after they say something seemingly, if you're listening to them doing air quotes, homosexual. You don't have to do that. I'm straight. Why? What am I doing that for? You know what I'm saying? And so I try to show them that no one outside of you controls who you are and how you show up. And the only thing that matters to me is that they're reading. And I hate this. I hate the way that we have been socialized to think of reading in that way. Reading as pain, you know. And sometimes when I'm interviewed, like on a panel, and I tell people that I've been reading since I was 3, and there's no breaks. You know what I mean? It seems to me like someone else thinks it's very, very, very important to say, well, I didn't. I struggled with reading, and if that's your truth, that's cool. But I think it's also important that we share space for the reality that there are
mm.
Black men who enjoy reading just because they enjoy reading. So yeah. I just had to interject that because I just get excited when I think about some of this stuff.
No, you're good. And that's why I brought you on, bro. Like I feel that passion when I watch your videos. I feel that when I look at your interviews with prominent people. Like, and like you said, if that is your truth, like we have so many people that, love reading, but man, my homeboys don't read,
Mhm.
and I equated to when I played sports in high school. Like everybody knew I wanted to go to college to play football. So after school, you found me in the weight room. Like, hey Drew, you want to go? Nah, I got the weight room, bro. Like,
Mhm.
so you knew not to come with me with no, like, hey man, we think about not lifting today. All right, that's cool. Y'all have fun.
Yeah,
And like you said, we need to leave room for that, because what about the boy that's growing up who's been reading since he was 3, and he's like, man, is this normal? Like, and I tell people all the time, I'm a nerd, I'm a geek. Like what? And I can do, and I dress nice, and I played football and played in the NFL. Like there are multitudes to this thing. There's not just one cut that you have to be.
yes, absolutely, brother. And that's a part of what a Black man reading is all about. Like I don't have to look like whatever you think the quintessential reader looks like. You know what I mean? Um, because first of all, I mean, like education and intelligence was ours first anyway.
Mm,
So why would I let a society that obviously means me no good? This Our society is very, very interested in an uneducated populace.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? very, very interested in that. I think Imani Perry said like a nation keeps its shape by the stories it tells itself. You know what I mean? And so I think that the fact that we know that we are in the midst of an administration that prioritizes it above all, right? Like we have an uneducated populace, but we do have an indoctrinated populace, right? With certain things like American democracy, air quotes, right? And all these things that he's forcing to go into the classroom. I would also just say, man, teachers just keep teaching it regardless of whatever they're telling you to do. It's something that I meant to say earlier.
No worries, man. And you talked about a black man reading, and I know there's some. Well, there's if you're tuning into this, you probably don't know, but you gonna find out right now. Tell us about getting a black man reading started, and what started you on that journey.
Yeah, so I was a hip hop blogger first. Well, I was a rapper first, right? As all young black men are. But I was a rapper first, and then I quit rapping once. I think it's either once my son came or once I found out he was on the way. Um, and then I was like, I still want to be around music, so I blogged, and I had this blog called "What a Since 1987," and I wrote for the Redefined as well. And I felt like I was making the wrong people famous. You know what I mean? Like I'm helping aid in some of these very negative, uh, very negative energy transfers that occur with some hip hop music, right? Um, and I think Clips really gets at that too when they talk about like the artistry of like being a lyrical technician. Like that's what makes them utilizing cocaine as a lens different from from somebody who just from like a Fetty Wap. You know what I mean? It's a theoretical lens for Clips, right? But it's just a means to an end for Fetty. You know what I'm saying? Or like when Lil Baby is like, this is work. Like he doesn't have a relationship with it as an art form. And so I paused on that, right? And I start posting myself out there with books because I'm reading. And folks kept asking me, like, do I have homework? Or like what's going on? What's up with the shift in sharing the books on my personal page? And so I was like, okay, I bet, right? I've done this before. I built a community, right? When I did it with the hip hop thing. I was like, I'm gonna do this again. And because y'all are being so weird about it, I'm not even gonna like give a lot of thought to the name. I'm just gonna literally say what I am, right? A black man reading, right? And then make it about this idea of however I show up, this is what a black man reading looks like. And if someone is interested in like wearing my things, right, or my merchandise as a black man who reads, right, then however they decide to show up as a black man who reads should be accepted. You know what I'm saying? Because we are a multitude. Um, and so, I did that and started posting a little stuff under Black Man Reading. And I got the attention of these cool cats up there, Real Dads Network in New York. And they were like, hey, you want to interview Hill Harper for us? And I was like, I'd rather die enormous than live dormant. I had never interviewed anybody before, but, again, if you chase experiences, you know what I mean? You kind of get rewarded, and there's always, I'm a big geek and nerd too, and so I believe in like infinite universes, etc., and them being split by choices, right? And so you have choices to make. That's a crossroad, right? And so there's different things that you can be, but I always make the choice that grows me. And so I was like, all right, let's see. I've been reading. Let's see what I can do. Interview Hill. He loved it. And they kind of had me back. And I just started just following, trusting that process. So you can start off, I started off as just a man. My first post is Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday, one of my favorite writers of all time. And it's just me with a picture of the book and a cigar. And now, I'm like, I've talked to everybody. I just was asked about a Mississippi Book Festival. She was like, who do you want to talk to? I've talked to everybody already, so let's just give them, whoever comes, an experience. So whatever panel you think will be best for me to be on is the one, because I've been blessed to be able to talk with everybody through it.
So you start this what looks like a hobby, which is a hobby. It's just, it wasn't, I'm not gonna say you mean make money from it or to blow up like this, but you
Yeah.
do something with concentrated focus, and you're like, I'm gonna do this. and then you
Mhm.
get opportunities from that. You know what I mean? Like, could you have pictured yourself being here, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, where you're at currently and who you've talked to this point?
No, because right, you if you create that box, right? So the box is no, I don't do interviews. I just post pictures of books. I don't even put my face in the picture, right? Because that was one of the first things that was like really kind of different for me. Is like I was giving of myself too when I first came to Bookstagram. A lot of times it was just like folks would be like, right, and it's just the book, right? And I was like, well, I first of all just think that I know that I'm so much more, and so are they. You know what I mean? And so, like when you again, when you put yourself in that box, you don't have the opportunities. You know what I mean? And opportunities are never given; they're taken like interceptions. That's what Wale said.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think, yeah, man, you just don't know. I always tell folks there's a version of you on the other side of whatever you have going on, and all you have to do is like walk towards it, and it will walk towards you. Again, form follows function. If we function properly, things will form themselves. If if I have to interview someone, then I just need to do the research on what's a good interview. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And handle my business and or create the kind of experience that I would want to watch. You know what I'm saying? And so I try to do that. I try to really, really show folks that I read their book for real. I didn't have somebody create these questions. I sometimes know their book better than them. You know?
And that's important. So you drop a Wale line there, you dropped a Jay-Z line before, rather die enormous than live dormant. So we own hip hop. We know what we doing over here. But just speaking to that, man. So like I said, you're one of the most well-rounded people I've seen on Instagram. Like I love you're the person that got me, just like you said. I'm showing the book and I'm like, man, I don't really want my face in there. I'm not really. And you like, bro, there's not that many black people doing this. Do it, bro. There's
And it's so like, we it's like I was saying in some of the footage I released, everybody has so much to offer. So much. Like that's one of the things that life is all about, like sharing those experiences. Everybody has so much. The more we age, the more we have behind us that we can kind of speak to, and everything lends itself to something else, right? Like the way that I moved as a banker socially helped me move socially in the school. The way that I write, right? The way that I think about hip hop, right? And because I also feel like I talk about hip hop in a very deep way, right? I'm able to spit those lines of the same work that I'm doing over here when I say Toni Morrison said, love is divine only and difficult always, right? It's the same thing. But if you box yourself in, you don't know how far that goes. So the same way, the same way I watch like Rap City and the music videos used to be a big thing, is the same way I create the visual reel of me walking through Baldwin and Co with the music behind it. I make it look like the music videos that I loved as a child. So everything adds up to everything. They say God moves in mysterious ways, but I pay attention to the circles she draws, right? So everything like makes sense in the end. And so you have to chase experiences. You running those bleachers for the coach as a football player might let you know that you could be a hurdler.
Mm.
But if you never do it, you know what I'm saying? You don't know, right? Like being a being a really good rapper from like 16 to 25, right? Made me a good writer because that's what they are. Like there's again, Hove made a choice at some point, right? But he is writing poems, books, tomes, right? And so and oftentimes a lot of that is from nurture, right? So when I was able to show my students, when they asked me the question, why we gotta learn English and I speak it? Well, I just made $1,000 writing about this album. You know what I'm saying? Right here. Go to Wood. Everybody pick up your camera, go to Wood since 1987, pick up your laptop, Wood since 1987. All right, go to blackmanreading.com. I was just at Essence right here. I made this right here. That's why. Right? And it's not you also like know how to run, but you still have to train and track. You know what I'm saying? So I think I, I just think all of that is just super, super important, man. I got super, super important. I think we just got to we have to do more work on ourselves. We have to be engaged in that constant self work. But man, hip hop hip hop and literature are inextricably intertwined, if you ask me. And so I oscillate between them both all the time. All the time.
You oscillate between them both and you do it very well. And you can tell that you know your stuff, like I said, and like you said, like if you can do this as a job, that is great. If I can do what I love as a job, and this what seems like what you're doing from where I'm sitting from, that's the highest form of making it in life and what success is. And that's what I tell people I mentor. Cool, you want to be a real estate agent, or you think you want to be a real estate agent because they make all this money, because that's one of the ways you see it's the quickest way to make money. But one of the quickest and best ways to make money is doing what you want to do. You would hope that you do it to a high level at some point where somebody's going to pay you for it, and you
Mm-hmm.
can show up and do work that doesn't feel like work. And
Absolutely.
that's what I get. That's the feeling I get from sitting here listening to you, Jerid. And there's one question I want to ask you, because we're going to continue to talk about books. We're going to get into hip hop, but what other things do you like doing outside of reading and music? Because I know you're multifaceted.
Reading, music, working out, smoking cigars. But again, to my earlier point, right? This is funny. So one of the reasons I fell in love with smoking cigars is when cigars are rolled, there is a reader, right, sitting on a pedestal, reading to the rollers, or like they used to be, specifically the Monte Cristo cigars, right? They would read the Count of Monte Cristo, right? And so like there's again, everything kind of leads into everything. But let's see what else. I just love being at home with my family. You know what I mean? And just enjoying them, and enjoying like the things that the way that I've kind of constructed my home. Like I have this is the jazz room. That's what we call it, because I come here to listen to jazz. My vinyl player is right over there. I got Buku vinyl right over there. I got games over here, and I got who knows how many books there. Sneakers. Oh my God. But mainly Jordans. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else big.
If you had to put a number on it, how many pairs of J's you got? If you had to put a number on it. Uh-oh.
I don't know, brother. That closet is ridiculous. I don't know. I think it's not as bad as other folks, but I got a good amount. I'm chasing Hanif. I want to have as many as Hanif Abdurraqib, because he has all the kicks I want.
All right. Well, then tell me. All right, what's your favorite pair of J's in your collection, in your closet?
Oh, right now those Brick by Bricks by Nigel
Okay.
Sylvester. The Bike Airs. I had wrote about him. I just try to like pull threads of things. Like I'll see something and I'll go down that rabbit hole. And I had saw something he was, well, they were talking about him as an individual because he's an interesting person. He's not an actual professional BMX rider. He just created a whole lane for himself, recording himself riding through the streets and getting a group together. And he's making way more than actual professional BMX riders, right? That actually compete in like the X Games and all that. And so I just wrote about it. Literally was like, who is Nigel Sylvester? And I just kind of shared his story. But the Brick by Bricks gotta be. That's a beautiful collaboration. And it just does so much. The box has the texture of a brick. When you open it up, it looks like a brick, all bricks, right? Like it has the shoe is in a bag. Like when you buy a brick, both times.
That's for higher level people on that one. You gotta be from the streets to know a little something about that. You know what I'm talking about? Man, it's been awesome, man. Like I said, I wanted to make sure we got into hip hop with this, and then I have one last question because you talked about it before. But you have this term you called "be a wolf," and it's on your posting. When you post on Instagram, you'll hit it, you'll say it after a workout sometimes. Where does that term come from, and what does it mean? Be a wolf.
Yeah. So, I was at I think it was like 99.3% Black high school, and I chose that on purpose. I didn't apply for any other schools. I wanted to teach at a school that looked like the school that I went to, right? So my school was like that. And hold on, let me make sure I keep my thread. What was the question again?
You're good. Where does be a wolf come from, and what does it mean?
Yes. All right. So at the school, right? So at the school, I would on my planning period, I would stay in the classroom because there was a big skipping issue, and so they would leave because they're literally right in their community. And so I would stay on my planning period, and they would come to my class and sit there with me, right? And the principal would allow it because a lot of times it was like those flight risk kids. And one of the kids came in. It's like just four of us. Kind of, I would make them do exercises where we would. So I was kind of helping them be be writers and also like work during that time and just life, right? And so we would just be sitting in there. I think we was like looking at. We was doing some work with Childish Gambino's "Awaken My Love," and the student comes in. She's like, I'm gonna stay here all day. And of course, I was like, no, you're not. This is the only time that we can do that. And she's like, because I didn't do this project. And I had this concept of like, you also have to like make people tell you no. Like if there's something like I need, like when I was having like issues in college, I needed to like get put back in school or get reinstated. I'm not sending no email because I'm coming to let you see me because people will not tell you no in person. Right? It's hard. People want to, it's a scientific fact that it's harder for them to do that to you in person. And so I told her, you could sit here and complain and do nothing. Or, and I said, that's what sheep do. I was like, sheep do what everybody else does, right? Or you could sit here. I have a poster board back there. We can take all this stuff off of that poster board and you can make this project. And you can go in there and give her the project. And then now it's on her, right, to be a bad person and give you a 0. And she's not going to do that, right? You have to be a wolf. You can't, the wolf does what needs to be done, right? And he is there in plain sight on the low, right, amongst the sheep, and he still eats them because they're busy doing what everyone else is doing, right? So I said, so what is it going to be? Are you going to be a sheep or a wolf? And she said, I want to be a wolf. And she sat there, I have the photos, and she put that thing together. And the funny thing is, the day before, where the concept came from, again, because everything leads into everything, I had not done my paper, right? for class, for my night class. I wrote the paper in the class. It was due at the end of class, right? I wrote the paper in the class, brought the printer, right? I had set the printer in the corner. And when it came time to turn it in, I plugged the printer up there with the professor and printed out the paper, right? And of course she took it. Like she'd never seen anything like that before. Somebody come in with a printer, right? She's seen people come in with a sad story, right? Because that's what she do. They do what everybody does. I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna act sad, or I'm gonna call in and I'm gonna go, I'm sick, right? You know what I mean? The wolf doesn't care about any of that. He gets it done. I'm not gonna fake like I'm sick. I'm gonna say I'm calling in because I need a day. You know what I mean? I'm intentional. I'm always intentional of kind of what I'm trying to do. And it just reinforces this concept of there is really a wolf. And no one believes the boy when he tells you there's a wolf. Right? And so this idea of I know how powerful I am. I don't need you to believe it because when I bite you, you know what I mean? You're gonna know you were beaten. There's really a wolf, right? So that idea of being intentional with your life is what that's rooted in, like being intentional, being a shaper of the world. The reasonable man? The reasonable man changes himself to fit the world. The unreasonable man changes the world to fit himself. Therefore, all progress rests with the unreasonable man.
Bars, man. I love that story, and we talked about that a little bit. I heard that on a different interview, and we talked about advocates and how important it is to have an advocate in the school. We were both on the Bookham app talking with the author Frederick Joseph with his book This Thing of Ours. If you guys haven't checked it out, go pick it up. Pick it up for your kids. Pick it up for yourself. And I get so emotional when I hear stories like that because that small interaction with that girl, with that student who was a football player, they don't just take that for that specific instance. They take that with them for the rest of their life. And you're the teacher that they end up saying, I had this one teacher who did not let me skip this class because I didn't turn in this project. And that was the start of me excelling in school, or me starting to just say I'm not like everybody else and I do things differently, and I move differently. And in those small instances, the one that doesn't show up on paper, the one that doesn't show up as a test score, like that's the thing that can springboard these students and these young men that we come in contact with. And so that's why it's important to me to talk about and to kind of shine a light on these stories, because it's like, when you don't have people that are fighting for you, or people that challenge you, whether they're friends, whether they're close people, teachers, coaches, like you let people let you get complacent or let you fall into this space of, this is all I can do. This is all this is the pretty much all I can get. This is who I am. And on that, like, and you're more than that. Just like you said a little while ago, we don't know how far we can push ourselves until we do that.
Yeah. And so you have to have it. And then you have to be aware of, like, I see so many of like people in our generation complaining about these children, right? As if like when people like, no one gets together anymore. Well, you are Unc. It's on you to pull those folks together. Oh, nobody's putting their hands on it's you. You need to put your hands on these children. You know what I'm saying? We are in our 30s and 40s. It is you. You need to be the person dressed in the uniform to be the referee on at Saturday morning so that they can play basketball. It is you, right? It is you that needs to be stressed out like your grandmother was cooking on Sunday, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you have to do this if you're interested in this human experiment being successful, right? It is you now. And so I think that I think that's a lack of presence. You know what I'm saying? It's a lack of like being present. Like, it's you. You are the change that you've been waiting for, right? And if you don't do the work of like excavating like your what is it, your je ne sais quoi, like your essence, and then giving it out, right, into the world, then you're doing it's a slap in God's face if I don't use these blessings, right? Yeah.
There's responsibility out there for all of us, and sometimes we'd rather point the finger and talk about everything that's wrong, rather than putting these boots on and being like, all right, let me go out here and make impact where I can. Like, I can't do everything, but I can do something.
And it's for you. Mentoring and giving back is for you. You give more to yourself than you do to them. If I give that student that wolf thing, then I am doing a disservice if I am not a representative of what that looks like in the flesh. You know what I'm saying? People, these kids believe what they see, not what you say, right? So like, if you are not trying to be the bastion of what you are trying to impart on the world, again, it's performative. It's the stuff that I see on social media. No, I don't do all that. I don't do all that. This is what the Democrats need to do, and this dog. I'm in this. I'm here with this kids not eating right here in my city, right now. You know what I'm saying? Right now, right where you are, right now. You could be doing your one little part while you on here calling these folks cowards. They up there dealing with stuff that you have not even. You're on the couch, cuz. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't stand all of that, man. Like, all this talking about folks who actually out here doing stuff, man. Support those folks. Send some money. Do something. Like, instead of like typing on the keyboard. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man, don't do all that nonsense. It's vanity. Go read Ecclesiastes. It's vanity, man. It's vanity, man.
100%. Like you just said, it's performative. Instead of it being performative, like, really go do something, put some feet on the ground. Anybody can sit here, send a tweet, post a picture on Instagram or whatever, but what are you actually doing is the thing.
Everybody sounds smart until the real smart people show up. Everybody. It sounds really good that you're on the couch talking about folks who are engaged in things that you have not even tried to do at all. It's I hear you. Go off.
And it's laughable. As we transition, man, because I wouldn't be able to have you here not talk about hip hop, not talk about the state of hip hop right now. What's your opinion on hip hop right now? What's going on and what's happening?
The real always rises, baby. It's time out for all that fraudulence. It's time out for all that saying what you're supposed to say. It's some real brothers who respect this art form, who are doing it at a high level, who have gotten back to the essence of this thing, right? Like, and are giving it to you where it's like the balance has been restored. When I was coming up, it felt like there was as many conscious rappers as it was like, kind of street rappers, right? And where we was when folks always say like Wayne is the father of this generation, I always respond with is he a proud dad? Right? Like, if your legacy is drinking promethazine, joining a gang in your mid to late 30s, um, you kind of say that racism doesn't exist, like not putting together like actual songs, just literally just rapping. You know what I mean? Like not telling any story for a long time. And then you hear people who are obviously better rappers than him say that like he's like I when I hear like Kendrick Lamar um big up him as if he like really gave us something.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? Like what did he give us? And I don't mean that like I know all of Wayne's lines. People, y'all see me spit this all the time on stories. What I'm saying is call a spade a spade. What these folks are doing is more important. With Jay-Z and Nas and Buster, even like somebody who is a fun rapper like Buster, tells a true story. I don't want to hear about pigeons swimming in the ocean and fishes in the sky. Like, give me a story. If you're not, if that metaphor or whatever you're doing there is not imparting something to my soul or being relatable, if it's just for me to like be like, wow, he said that. I don't know, dog. Like, I think that I'm very happy with the state of where hip hop is right now because we're running a lot of that to where it needs to be. When I want to be just entertained, I'll listen to that. But when we're talking about like the greatest of all time, those folks automatically get slid over. Like people talk about him, right? Like the Carter 1, Carter 2, Carter 3, right? Those are the ones that actually to me really matter. Carter 4 is kind of debatable, but T.I. has the same discography.
Mm.
Why are you playing with these folks? T.I., there was a time when T.I. like was the king. Like, stop acting like everybody doesn't have the same similar thing. Yes, he had like this super clip of being on features, but that is just fun. You know what I'm saying? That's just fun. Like, this thing was meant to be something more than just fun. Fun is one of the things, one of the concepts of hip hop, right?
Mm.
But the art is the thing that I love. I want to, I want to. What did he say? You want to see a dead body? Instrumentals at my mama's Christmas party. Troubles on my mind. I still smell crime. Come on now. My auntie still in my Sega Genesis. Ooh, what? Ooh, we never did that. Please help me relax. Come on, man. What are we talking about, man? Get that funny stuff out of here. There's people really spitting, and I'm glad they back, dog. I'm glad they back, man.
Man, he just hit that little soliloquy, and I'm just over here like, go on, brother. Keep
Yeah,
going. Keep going.
Kendrick said, but I told my what he said had his shirt open, taco meat hanging under his gold. I said, one day I'm gonna make you rich with 36, what do you say? All 36 zips. And then you can rock it up and sell it soft as leather interior. He just come on, man. What? You can rock it up or sell it soft as leather interior. He said,
Mm.
son, well, tell me how it all makes sense. He said, every verse is a brick. Your son dope. So reap what you sow. I was born in '87. My granddaddy a legend. Now the same he was selling is my profession. Come on, man.
That's when you got to get up out of your chair and walk away on.
I don't want to hear that play stuff when you got folks spitting like that, man. Like, it's folks
Yeah.
really getting to it, man. I'm very, very pleased with the state of hip hop. I'm very pleased with the state of female hip hop as well. I love listening to Glorilla re-engage with that Memphis sound of 3-6
Yep.
Mafia. And come on, that's beautiful. Keep paying homage to those folks who don't buy into this hype of like ageism, like it's you too. Like, nah, they ain't do nothing for me. Don't go that Nicki Minaj route. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm from Memphis. 3-6 Mafia raised me. Everything I drop gonna sound like that. Yeah, that's what I love. I love when Nikki used to be on Smack DVDs. Go back to that Nikki when you was ripping folks apart. Nikki's a better rapper than Wayne. What we talking about? The 8 Cuz on verses. Why are we like? But they be acting like they scared. I don't know what baby got on these folks be acting like they scared. Man, listen, it's a bunch of folks spitting. There's a
And
lot
I
of
think And I think that's the funny thing when you really get into music. Like I tell, me and my girlfriend talk about it a lot, but me and my boy, I'm like, man, you listen to all this stuff. A lot of stuff is a sample, and I love that. And I can also tell you where the sample came from. And I can all, you know what I mean? Like when you talk about the producers and the engineers and what they're doing, like, and the young folks, they be like, oh, this is Drake something. No, that ain't his song. That ain't
and the art of sampling is so deep because it's a proven concept, right? So like if I like there's no way Beyonce doesn't do well redoing that Frankie Beverly and Maze when it has already existed for what? Like decades? Or like when you do like a when you name a song Jodeci back and you got the Jodeci thing, and the Jodeci is a proven concept that is already a God vibration, right? That we know does that work. And it does a lot of work. It does like generational work, right? So when I hear it, right, I think back to Jodeci and where I was when I'm writing those 4-page letters and all that, right? But when the child hears it, it activates that which I experienced, right, in a new way. And so I'm a huge fan of samples, and I'm a huge fan of doing the work of excavating the sample because oftentimes the original song is better.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So you got a double whammy. You get to check out this one, and you get to know why. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I'm in hip hop heaven, man. I'm in hip hop heaven right now. You see me, I be mad active on that because I'm really excited. A lot of this stuff I have been saying for years, and now it really seems like when we are put in certain situations, like Black folks seem to come up with like a powerful response, right? Like, so we all know like the whole world is hurting right now, for multiple reasons, right? But there are like these pockets of like renaissance like things, like, you know what I mean? Like to break the barrier of ageism in hip hop is huge, right? And you have to also give Hove a lot of credit. A lot of people, I'm really interested in the way that the community loves Beyonce, but not as much as they love, not in the same, you know what I mean? That they act like they don't live in the same house, or like you'll see people say don't like billionaires as if she's not one. You know what I mean? And so I think about that often because even this Clips thing is in direct relation to the silent Hove. They had to go to Rock Nation to do this, and that rollout comes from that, right?
Mhm.
And he never ever is like, I did that. And I love that about Hove and Beyonce. She does the same thing every year. Every year, there's like something that they didn't tap down enough that gets out. Like they gave like a $750,000 donation to this, right, or something like that. And we know that it, gets tax breaks, but the way you decide to tax break is
Yeah.
important.
Yep.
They could have done that a different way. We know that because most people do. So yeah, man, I think man, I'm just so pleased because I was so worried because Wayne is the father of this generation, and it shows.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And I don't understand why people don't equate that into that story. It shows. That's why we see a lot of double cups. That's why you know what I'm saying? That's why we see these children dressing like rock stars, even though that was influenced by Dipset and them. But like it's obvious he's the father. A lot of folks are saying a lot of nothing. Yeah.
So you talk about ageism, and there's a couple albums that have dropped over the last couple weeks. You had Clips a couple weeks ago. You had Raekwon. You got Freddie Gibbs is just dropping. I got my Freddie Gibbs Alfredo hat on because I'm a big Freddie Gibbs fan. What what albums have you been bumping lately?
Oh man, Gibbs is always playing in the car, man. Gibbs is like someone, not this thing, like, so the next stage that I hope that the universe brings me to is for me to do like the kind of documentaries I want to do, and what Gibbs decided to do with his artistry, like to pay homage to this really raw, gritty hip hop nature. You know, he got the mixtape with the zebra on it.
That's either Bandana,
Yeah,
Bandana or Pinata.
who's the
Oh,
Pinata? Who's the producer on Pinata?
Madlib.
Madlib, right? Like we know who Freddie Gibbs should be, right? But he's very, I don't know, it's like reminiscent of like watching Tech Nine do his thing
Mm.
and be very successful on a like seemingly fully independent kind of scale. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I love Freddie Gibbs, and I also love that he's putting on for Vice Lords too, because a lot of as we know, rap is extremely blood and Crip oriented. So when I see some folks giving a different perspective of the streets, I think that's important. So Gangsta Gibbs, of course, Hove is always running. I've listened to 44 what 444 a lot. I'm listening to. I still love La Russell a whole lot. There's this rapper name, so I also still like to kind of discover rappers. Nick Grant, Calibrate. What's cuz name? Deontay Hitchcock out there in Atlanta makes amazing music. I thought he was about to get signed to Cole when he was on the Dreamville thing, but he didn't. And who else? Somebody else that I've been listening to a whole lot recently. Who is it? I get in. Oh, Jerid. I did a write-up. I did one of Jid's first write-ups. He had dropped this album called Para 2. And it was such a dope thing because no one knew who Jid was at that time. This is way back, like 2016, maybe, right? And I wrote about Para 2, and he was just so thankful, and I thought that was so dope. And I reminded him about it when he dropped the last album on Twitter, and he was like, "Yeah, I remember that," And I was like, "That's so dope." So, Jiddy Jid, man, Jiddy Jid. I actually listened to Cole yesterday, man. Cole, I went back to Forest Hill Drive, and I was like, "Hey, I know he kind of inched out of that battle, which I think is a very beautiful thing on the low, right?
Smart. Yeah.
I get the spirit of hip hop, but that's the kind of masculinity that I think is very important as well, because he's not performing his masculinity, which is what we asked him to do, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If I really don't have an issue with you, you know what I'm saying? Why I'm gonna stress myself out, and why am I gonna play a very dangerous game? Because we know how beats go. So I think that was dope, and go back and listen to that Forest Hill Drive, man. One of the most beautiful songs that I listen to is when he's talking about he has the interview of Mike Brown's friend talking about the
Yeah.
murder, and I cry every time I listen to it. And I used to teach it, and I would have to walk out, because he's like, "That's when they shot my friend." And I think that like it's so important because Black boys don't get to be boys, and I think that again, so for instance, when I was talking about the type of documentaries I would like to talk to him and see how that has affected him, and you know what I'm saying, like those are the things I
Yeah.
think are so poignant. Like I think DJ Screw deserves a documentary and a book. I think man, like A-Ball and MJG, like these folks who like held it together when there was no Suave House, like yeah, like all those folks need their stories told. Like Juicy J needs the same movie opportunity that Pharrell had with Piece by Piece. You know what I'm saying? And so I want to try and do my part to give them that. So I hope the universe puts me in a space where I can, because I think that's the next thing for me, right? Like I'm also torn with like kind of going in a different direction too, to further like put the distance between me and bookstagrammers, because I don't really kind of consider myself that anymore at all. I'm trying to do something just a little different. And so I hope that it leads me into that form of sharing a little bit more too.
Man, thank you for sharing all that, bro. You over here. I remember listening to J. Cole. I started listening to him in college, and I was actually just listening to one of my favorite samples of his. He took a Lee Field sample called Ladies, and
Mhm.
that's on the warm-up, I think it was. But I'm like, just what Cole does.
Did you get the warm up when it first came out? Like, or
Yes.
did you like? Oh, wasn't that a beautiful time? Then you get the story again, the story of him being a wolf, right? Going to Jay-Z's studio and sitting out there all night long with some Paul Masson, waiting on him to come, tries to hands him the thing. Hove looks at him like, I don't take that, right? And he still doesn't be a wolf. Even though Hove didn't take it, he remembered him when he went and found him. And
Yeah.
remembered that drive, be a wolf. Even if he didn't sign you, you talked to Jay-Z.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, be a wolf. Like, and what I used to do when I would meet, this is another cool thing I want to just give the folks. When I would meet somebody famous, right? What I asked them is, give me the book that changed your life, because I know how as I become more successful, I know how precious time is, and they don't have the time, right? But if you give me the book that changed your life, I can take as much time as I need to read it, right? And that gives me access to a part of how you became who you are. You know what I'm saying? So like when I give people Assata Shakur, the autobiography of Assata Shakur, then they understand why my name is Akila Nazuri. You know, because she is the origin, and her and all of the Shakurs are why we get Pac, right? And the part of Pac that we aren't as interested in is the Panther Pac, and also the Pac the poet, Pac the dancer. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that comes from those folks. And as I read that book, and she talked about changing her name from Joanne Chesimard, I was like, then I need to do that same work. And when she admonishes to not just get an African name, have an African brain, right? Then that's Akila Nazuri is a beautiful mind in Kiswahili. I chose that name in 2016. I had Black Man Reading doesn't come to 2018. Before we came here, before we were stolen from Africa, one of the things that some of the people that we come from did was they would wait to see which ancestors showed up before they named you. You could be baby for 3 months. Get your name, right? And so they were very intentional with the names they gave. So I chose A Beautiful Mind in Kiswahili because I wanted to be a beautiful mind. And look how far it's taken me. I had no idea about Black Man Reading. I had no idea I'd be doing this. I had no idea I'd be talking to you when I chose that name. So when I give the autobiography of Assata Shakur, you have direct you see what I'm saying? You have this conversation with me that I don't have to be present to have. So I always ask successful people, if I go to the airport and I see PJ Morton or something, or think of somebody, Lupe Fiasco, because Fundamentals comes from Lupe Fiasco. I'd seen him do that. The Fundamentals post that I do, where it's literally the word fun, F-U-N-D, the mentals, comes from Lupe Fiasco, right? And so if I see Lupe, I need to know the books, the 3 books that you're reading, right? And if I can go, I'm gonna go buy those books immediately, because I know I won't have the time, and Lupe doesn't have the time to converse with me and pour into me, but his books can.
Thank you for that, man. And while you over here dropping, for those that's listening, I'm holding up Assata Shakur's biography and a biography of Assata Shakur, and then talking about DJ Screw, A Life in Slow Revolution. Got that one. I'm showing him that book too. Like, there's some stuff out there on the people that you guys really like. I grew up in high school listening to Screw music, and I'm from Denver, Colorado, but listening to Mike Jones, Paul Wall, Swisher House, LBP, DSR. Like, people are like, Drew, what are you listening to? I'm like, hey, man.
Hey, come on now, you know about that, dude. Yeah,
Hey, man.
You
Hey,
know,
man.
everybody knows those Houston rappers. You know what I'm saying? But Dallas, Tum Tum,
Big Tuck,
faster, get in my belly, hit the club in the throwback, Jim
Kelly. All right, hey, listen, we're gonna turn this into a concert.
Hit the club in the throwback, Lars Taylor. Man, listen, and then I'm gonna say this. I'm saying this, but shut up. I hate that hip hop allow people to say that they're freestyling when they're not. Them Texas folks was freestyling, and also again, because a lot can be true, so was Wayne during those mixtape things. So that's what I respect of that, is that art form. And them folks, that's coming off the top. I used to do that all the time too. Like, them folks, they deserve all the stories. I love that Texas music. And them folks from Dallas, man, they got another one that Ben. Let me see you, Ben.
Yeah.
Come on, Ben.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy that Black men, I'm so happy. Young Black brothers, I'm so happy you got a dance again that you can do in the club, because you don't need to be standing on that wall. We are Enjoy yourself. That don't mean that you won't punch somebody in the face. Dance, dog. You know what I'm saying? You can do all that, and you can be everything you are. Just because I'm educated don't mean I handle beef over Twitter. Like, you are still a man, but dance, dog. I'm so glad that y'all can dance again, man. Be free. Go frolic sometimes, young black brothers. Frolic.
Frolic.
Yeah, man. I'm so
I love
excited.
that word. We gonna give y'all a little history lesson, man. We just get. Hey, I know you love music, man, but I appreciate you sharing the things that you share. And one other question, because this is real important, and I know the people that you look up to. It's funny that you say, if I run into one of these people, I'll ask them, hey, can you point me towards a book, or what book made a difference in your life? If you walked up to one of those people and they told you they didn't read, or I can't give you a book, what would kind of be your reaction from that moving forward?
So it's an interesting thing to me, right? Like, I don't generally take. I don't know. It's like a. So what's his name? Sibo Campbell, in his book Sky Full of Elephants, has this concept of like a universal black consciousness that you can kind of tap in and out of. And literature has the same thing, that there's like this linear nature of this one long story being told across the eons that you are just kind of plucking from. And it's kind of like that idea of like, if you don't do what God gives you, he'll give it to someone else. He'll give someone else your assignment. So like, if you've ever like had a book idea and then someone comes out with the book that has a similar idea, then that's what happened to you. You didn't act, right? And so I think I don't think that I've never asked. I don't look up to people who don't read. I've never asked anyone and I'm not a huge big fan of like, I'm not like I'm not like a groupie. So just because I see a famous person, I don't necessarily always run up to them, right? So that I'm very particular in who I even look up to, and who I'm even around, because whoever the you hang around five so and so's, you'll be the fifth, the sixth so and so. So I haven't. If that happened to me though, it would completely change the relationship that I have with whoever it is. You know what I mean? So like, if I asked Hove that, I would just be like, oh. Even though I know one of his favorite books is the Celestine Prophecy, and he's the reason I got it. But I would be really flabbergasted. And and that's nothing on them. I would feel like that universal like consciousness that I was alluding to earlier. I was out of sync with it to some degree in choosing that person as someone to look up to, is what I would probably feel like, right? So like, if I walked up to Lupe Fiasco and he didn't have any books, right, to give me, I would be weirded out. But the reason I know he does is because he mentions them in the music he makes. Like, he has a song called Haile Selassie. You know, like, come on, man. Like, he's quoting a Selassie speech in that song. And he talks about a man who is guided by his compass, uh, will work with his other man for the success of the collective. You are being watched by the nation. Um, and so if you do good, they will be well. But if you do bad, they will lose their faith in you and in themselves. You know what I mean? And so if I'm telling kids, so the same thing, like, so if Lupe is someone I'm looking up to, I'm out of sync with that. But if I'm also telling kids be a wolf and I'm not a wolf myself, then they will lose their faith in me and also themselves.
And I just had to ask you that, man, because it's funny, because not to say that, like you said, being out of sync, and I like that, and I'm gonna take that and borrow that and use that. But you're connected with these people because they're conscious rappers, because they're readers. Like, you know that by what they talk about. So if you met them and
So people have asked Wayne these things, right? And the answer is no. Like, when I hear that, that makes me feel a way about what you create as a product. Like, when you say like, "No, I don't read. I don't write. I don't even listen to nobody else raps." Like, well, again, that is why Lil Baby says what he says, because you're the father of that generation. You know what I'm saying? That's part of why you got Bloods in New Orleans. That, you see what I'm saying? Like, is that really a legacy like worth lauding? So yeah, I would I would kind of, like I said, I would need to go and see how I kind of got out of sync.
Yeah. And like you said before, you are the, what do you say? You're the sum of the five people you hang out with. You know, readers hang out with readers, athletes should be with athletes, just creators should be with creators. And I'm real big on that. And as we jump out of hip hop, I know I go ahead.
Well, I just want to say too, this was on, we hadn't talked about it, but the greatest reader alive thing, right? Because I want to, the reason I'm critical of Wayne is because I want him to rise. I listen to hustler music. Sometimes I want to drop a tip of no emotions from a king. Like that is, you know, Notebook, the song on like Carter 2 is his closest to getting to what he wanted to be, which was Hove, right? Um, and so, yeah, man, I want him to like rise to who I know he can be. But the when he did that work of saying I'm the greatest rapper alive since the greatest rapper retired, it put the onus on all other rappers to either say that that is not true or fall in line. We already saw that when T.I. said he was the king of the South, right? Lil Flip and Zero got mad. It was like, no, you're not. If it's anybody, it's Scarface, right? But Scarface didn't make the declaration. He didn't shape that world. So when I say I'm the greatest reader alive, now the onus is on you to try to beat me, and I can count on you not to read. All y'all want to do is this. And it's cool. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But that's not what I'm engaged in. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm the greatest reader alive. Prove me wrong. Let's read the same book. Let's see what we're gonna see. You know what I'm saying? If you prove me wrong, cool. I ain't gonna stop saying that. You're gonna have to prove me wrong probably a couple times before I like be like, you know what I mean? But that's where I got that from. Him being bold enough to say that and to stand on that when Hove came back. You know what I mean? So I want him to rise to where I thought he was headed in Carter 2. But he ended up going a different route with Carter 3, and that's where he is now. He's been making that same kind of album ever since.
For those listeners that couldn't see, Jared just spun around with a book like an influencer and popped it in front of the camera. So that's why I couldn't stay composed.
Hey, look, yeah, that's cool, man. Love to y'all, man. Get y'all money, do y'all thing. If that's fun to you, that's what God put on your heart to create. I'm just not in that game, right? So that's why I'm trying to. That's why I'm like I said, I'm trying to further the distance between me and that because I'm not really that. And when you try to be that which you are not, you know what I'm saying? It's obvious. I can't do that because I look stupid. You don't. You know what I'm saying? Like
You
rock out, my G. You got it. You do. But this is where I reside. So if you come here, you better have your A game on because I'm gonna give it to you. You know what I mean? So
yeah, big.
I wanted to share that. I wanted to give him Wayne some more flowers for that. That's where that comes directly from him. So I'm a very big fan of him, but I feel like James Baldwin. I deserve to be able to criticize America. And I love him so much, I deserve to be able to criticize him as well.
Definitely. And I think that goes along with what you said before, that growth and development. Like you can't be talking about what you talked about 10, 15 years ago. You can't sit down for it. Well, you can, but you can't sit down for an interview and say, I've never seen or experienced racism in my life. So I don't think it exists. I just saw a video of a dude get his window broken and punched in the face the other day. So you can't tell
Just
me
don't,
that.
just don't do the interview. just say no comment. Like if you come on.
And so that means either you're not paying attention to it, so you don't see it, because you can literally pick up your phone and type something in and have a lot of stuff come up. But that's outside of everything and the scope, everything. And I want to get these last couple questions to respect your time and get you out of here. And so I know you're doing some work with Baldwin Co. How has it been working with them in the relationship that you guys built and the stuff that you guys got coming down the pipe?
Oh man. That is Baldwin and Co. and the owner of Baldwin and Co. and the city of New Orleans has been a insane blessing to me, right? Like in the scope of like that idea of like you just don't know, right? Like I had DM'd them and I was like, hey, you know, I wasn't as big as I am now. I'm not huge, but you know, I think I know that I'm important to the space. There are people who are following me who are like, it is insane, folks. And I sometimes don't even know they're following me until like they comment, and I'm like, yo, is this so and so? You know what I mean? And so I think, yeah, yeah, yeah. They are just they've just transformed me in a way that I just can't explain, and they believe in me in a way that is insane, and the way that they also the way that the owner, who is I mean, I think he's one of my best friends, is the way that he believes in me and the way that he pushes me out of my comfort zone is insane. So like those interviews that y'all have been seeing with the Baldwin dialogues that I'm engaged in, again, like you need to stretch yourself. So when he came to me with doing this, he was like, I want you to interview all these people, right? And I was like, cool. And he was like, but I don't want you to talk to them about their book. I don't even want you to mention it at all. And then here I am again at a crossroads, right? Because again, everything I've done so far is attached to the book. It's about I can read better than most folks, and I prepare questions that are more insightful, that are also, I build my questions where you get the essence of what is inside of there without spoiling anything. And you can engage with the question without having even read the book, because I build the question. It's so conversational to where like you're talking about what's in there, and so But I know, again, it's a Hill Harper moment, right? So like you just go. You have to believe that you have everything that you need already to be successful, and so their belief and their support, and the way that they inspire me, the owner, the store, the workers, the people that are there, the people that come there, that take part in our events. It is a blessing that I just didn't see coming. But like I said, I had DM'd him and he didn't respond, and so I could have said that I wasn't going to go to the store. I was in New Orleans and I was like, nah, I still want to go to the store, right? I was like, I'm going to be in the city. And so I go in there and he's like, yo, it's you. Right? And I was like, yeah, who are you? He was like, I'm the owner. I was like, I had DM you. He's like, I'll check that shit. Somebody else does that. You know what I'm saying? The whole thing, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He said, but I love your work. I love everything you do, yada, yada, yada. And we just started building from there. And it's been, like I said, it is everything. If they call me for anything, I'm on the way. I love them. And it is a beautiful thing to be loved and be seen um, by that city, right? That city, which is quite easily probably the blackest city in the nation in terms of both what it is in the present, but also what it represents in history of America, right? It's a port city. It's a place. It is, I want to say it was the second largest slave port, Charleston being the first, the second, and then of course where I'm from, Natchez, is up there as well, with the forks of the road. And so there's a lot of similarities between my city and New Orleans as well, historically. And so I think it's just a very beautiful experience. I'm very thankful. I cannot thank them enough for believing in me.
Man, I can feel the appreciation in your voice because I can feel that this is a partnership that you're really like. And what I talked about before, I said, man, put people around you that challenge you. They're having you do something different by telling you, hey, don't talk about the book. Like have a conversation with them. And that's making you get into a new creative space with how you approach this and the things you have to do. So, and I'm rooting for you 100%.
Man, I did 17 interviews when he told me that. I did 17 interviews, talked to 3 Pulitzer Prize winners, some National Book Award winners, and I wouldn't have had that opportunity if I would have said no. If I would have said I have to have the book. You see what I'm saying? Like I had no idea he had lined these folks up. Like a lot of when I was going to pick them up for the interviews, I would find out who they are in the car.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Because there was no time to research it, right? There's no time to research it, and what we were trying to do is not interview them, but create a dialogue, right? Yeah. I love Baldwin Co. and DJ knows, man, that's my bro.
Man. So, like I said, I want to respect your time. This is the last question we got, man. This has been
Yeah,
fun sitting
I'm
down
good.
talking.
I used to do 3-hour long podcasts, so you better cut me off.
No, we good. Like I said, I wanted to respect your time, but also it was like, man, like this won't be the last one. I know you're busy. I know you got a lot of stuff cooking and up the pipe. And so I think this is the start of a good relationship with, just like I said, we just sat here and talked about music, we talked about books, we talk about life, mentoring, we all this other stuff, which is great, man. So I know this won't be the last time we talk.
Sure.
As we end today, man, I always throw it to my guests for the last word, but I kind of ask them, I say, what advice would you have for any young black boys or black men out there, just moving forward, or just any parting advice you'd like to give to them, just as we wrap up this show?
If you don't read well, then you probably don't write well. And if you don't write well, then that is an indicator that you don't think well. And if you don't think well, somebody will do the thinking for you. Right? So you have a choice, right? You have a choice there. You may have struggled with reading. You may have been blessed with the ability to just instantly read well, but you should be reading, especially if you are a young black man or young black woman, or someone who is gender non-conforming. It is very important that you read. It is important that you have books, because one of the first things that an imperialistic dynasty comes for is the art. You know what I mean? Everywhere. The liberal arts program is always, like, you know what I mean, on the back burner, while the football coach is making $3 million. You know what I mean? Like, so you if you don't read well, then you probably don't write well. And if you don't write well, then you probably can't formulate your thoughts well. And if you don't think well, then you will have someone else do the thinking for you.
Mm. Thank you, Jerid. Reading to writing, writing to thinking. Those are the last little bits of gems he wants to lay on you guys. Once again, that is this latest episode of Too Good to Be Drew. And once again, before we get out of here, I'd be remiss if I didn't toss it up to you. How can people get in contact with you, or where can they follow you to see your work?
Man, I'm on all platforms as a black man reading. Literally, a black man reading. Come find me. The link is in the bio, but it's a black man reading at Gmail. You know what I mean? And yeah, just find me on all the things: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and of course Instagram. Home base, right? Headquarters. And just come get better in public with me. You know what I mean? Come grow. Let's construct some understanding together. Come holler at your guala.
That's why I love having great people on here. Once again, that is the latest episode of Too Good to Be Drew. That is Jerid P. Woods, man. We out of here. Have a good one. You guys stay healthy.
Peace.
Man, I appreciate you, Jerid. That was freaking awesome, bro.